Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Online Wine Tasting Club. I'm Alex. This is Jamie.
Wow, you do that so well now.
I know.
4 years. I don't know if anyone saw it, but my Facebook memories came up. We've been doing this for 4 years
4
now.
years. That's ridiculous.
It would be our 4-year anniversary. So,
wow.
Good evening to everybody, and hope you're doing well. So, we are going to be doing all things Austria this evening. And I've been practicing all day saying Austria because I've just done a week in Alsace, and every time I say the word A, it's got Alsace stuck on it. So
at least it's not Australia again this time.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah. We're not going to go too far wrong with that. But yeah, as always, we have got the Slido. So if you want to either scan the QR code and put your tasting notes in, or go to Slido and put the code in, or go to towtc.co.uk/taste, and then you can join us. Put your tasting notes in and see what it's all about. So Austria, it's a very cool place.
It is.
It is one of the biggest wine growing countries in the world that no one really thinks is a big wine growing country, because I think there's a couple of things. They drink it all there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not international grapes so much. There is some Riesling, but we're talking things like Zweigelt, Gruner Veltliner. And then there's international grapes, but under Austrian-German language, your Weissburgunders and things like that. So, and more wine laws than you can shake a stick at.
Yeah, the kind of place where their solution to... I'm really hoping that you can still... Yes, it's... They've just updated this restreaming software, so please let us know in the chat if it's looking as jerky as it is on our screen. I hope it's just the software,
and not the
not the
flooding.
actual the flooding as well that's been going on. We've had pretty biblical rain in the last few minutes, so that's all good fun.
Yes, Leighton Buzzard and Dunstall have been underwater this week. So
it's been interesting. So. At least we're in good company with laggy video if it does turn out to be the case. So, but yes, it's a really interesting country. I think there was a lot of people remember a slight kind of scandal from. It was at the end of the 80s. It is jerky. Okay. Thank you for letting us know. Right. Okay. I'm going to dig into that, but do you want to talk about antifreeze?
Not really, but we will. So yeah, there was Do we want to go out and go back in again before we?
No, we're on a gigabit fiber internet connection. It's the actual computer that's lagging. I don't know why. I'm going to try to simplify this as much as I can. So, do you? Yeah, just keep talking about that, and I'll see what I can.
So I'm guessing people can hear us, but so I could dance now, and no one would know. So it was the mid '80s, and there was they say it was an antifreeze thing. It wasn't really antifreeze. It was some things in the same chemical compound that we used to add some weightiness to lighter wines. But depending who you talk to and where the stories come from, was it Austrian wine or was it German bulk wine that was being moved into Austria that had this thing added into it? So there was a lot of scandal in the mid '80s about what you can and can't have, and Austrian wine wasn't great. And still to this day, it's kind of Austrian wine is the stuff with the antifreeze in it. Ha ha ha. The same way that when you say German wine and Riesling, everyone goes Blue Nun. It's of that similar age and ilk of where it's been at. But anyway, I'm talking too much. We should probably get wine one into the glass, because that's what's probably quite important, because if people aren't seeing us and hearing us, they probably want to have something to drink.
I think that's a good idea. Oh my word.
That background is something else.
That's lovely, isn't it? Very beautiful. Pour me some wine, that'll make it all better. Okay. That.
Yeah, cool. So we have a few wines today from the same winery, from the Volkswagen winery, and we tasted through them with one of our producers, and absolutely loved it. So you kind of get to see what the same person does with some different things. This is really frustrating because I'm talking and I see myself jerking on the screen. It's like, makes no sense. So anyway, we have got Zweigelt. And Zweigelt comes in many guises. And I think it is, between Zweigelt and Blaufränkisch, those are the two main red wines you see in Austria. And Zweigelt is, in fact, a cross of Zweigelt and another grape called Saint Laurent. That was crossed by Dr. Zweigelt. So
indeed,
it's nice to have it named after himself. But I've always said, and,
tempting. Very tempting.
So I've always said, but, once again, get your tasting notes in here. How are we doing?
Well, it's doing exactly the same thing. Let's move the Slido on just while we can.
Yep, let's pop the Slido on. Because I'm really interested what the thoughts are here. Because this is,
this was a really cool one. It was very mineral. It was very delicious.
It's got a bit of colour out. It's not rosado coloured like you get for Pinot Grigio Blush or Tempranillo Rosé. And but it's definitely not as light as something from Provence. And I just think it's a really, really cool style. And this particular wine comes from, they source from two different vineyards and two different soil types. So they're able to pick different grapes to give different, different feelings of Zweigelt. And then they bring it together and make this lovely, lovely, light, fresh, but still fruity style of wine.
Okay, I am going to try to back out of the stream and get back into it. So we're going to go dark for just a few seconds. So enjoy the wine while we do that, and let's give it a go and see what happens, right? Hey, that's better. What the hell?
So did we turn it off and turn it back on again?
Basically did the equivalent of turning it off and on again.
Okay.
And it's back.
Can we go to chat? Make sure
Let's go to the chat. People are still here. Yes.
People are still here.
You can hear us fine. It is lovely.
Can you see us now? Can I dance?
Yeah, we can dance around. Excellent.
Wonderful. So, 4 years of the online wine tasting club, and we still haven't got the tech right. But no, it's gone again. Now I'm back. That's what. Okay. Anyway, we're going to soldier on because we've got wine, we've got colour, we've got all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so two regions, two different soil types, and we've got a bit in the brochure today about rocks. I don't want to get overly excited about rocks, but when we said we were going to bring these guys on, the Welch's Winery, they gave us some rocks.
Literally in a jar, and here we have some rocks. Now,
and they gave us another bottle.
They gave us another one. This was a wine bottle
of sand.
Sand, yes, indeed. So I'm at a loss for words with that one.
So this is purely to show. And I said we're not going to bore people with we used to have Starlink, and that was horrible.
Yeah, we tried that.
Horrible. Yeah. But we're not talking about our tech here. So what we can see here is we've got a jar of rocks. So when we talk about big, rocky, stony soils, this is what we're looking at here. Okay, and this allows when the rainfall comes for water to drain through, and a lot of the times that will make the vines have to work really, really hard to get water because there's not water retention. So
especially when you combine that with a steep slope as well.
Exactly. So that will, make the water kind of drain through. Vines have to work really, really hard, and therefore you get lots and lots and lots of intensity, and this is where you get good minerality, high acidity, and stuff like that. Then you can have this loess soil, which is basically it's a bit more sandy, yeah? So, you go to the beach, you pour water on that. This has water retention. So therefore, when places have less rainfall, it means you don't have to irrigate, and especially in places that you're not allowed to irrigate, that can help. I think the really important thing for people to understand about when we talk about soil types is it's not just that, and it's not just this.
Yeah.
And the topsoil is such a small amount of the real world compared to how far it goes. So people talk about limestone clay soils, and people talk about marl, clay, Loess blends, all that kind of stuff. But this is just for a demonstration. So when people say it's very rocky soil, which allows for good drainage, you can see that because there's lots of big bloody gaps for the water to get through.
Yeah. I mean, and to be absolutely clear, sand is also quite good in terms of draining compared to, for example, clay. Clay is really, really retains.
I walked through a clay vineyard last week, and my shoes are now bright red.
Yeah, indeed, and you get all these mixtures of different things. But if you're in a place which has got a pretty dry summer, so these droughts that come in, and I think it's been fair to say Austria this summer has not been very dry. They've had quite a lot of rain.
Yes.
So therefore, that's a place where having good drainage is really helpful. But in a year where you don't have as much rainfall, it's really good to have a little bit of that sort of that mixture of things, the small grains that just keep the surface tension of the water and keep it there, and it's a great thing. We have got, and hopefully all of you got one of these little booklets, which has in our discussion about the terrain and rocks. If you haven't got that, Kathy, I'm very sorry about that.
We'll shout at the people downstairs.
We will. I'll send one of those through to you now. So yeah, but yes, it's people talk about the these rocks really affecting the flavour, and they do. They absolutely affect the flavour. The direct mechanism for that is a really tricky one and a matter of a lot of debate. But there's no denying that you get a massive impact on it, and it's exaggerated when you're on these kind of slopey, extreme environments. So absolutely. I'm going to send that thing to Kathy right now.
You do that. Fantastic. So yeah, you got this. We'll bring the tasting notes back up while you're doing that. So and it is this light, fresh, strawberry, whetstone, fruit salad, very easy drinking. There's still some nice acidity there. And, generally, a lot of the time I would stick a rosé in the middle of the tastings. I'd do my whites, then I'd do my rosés, and I'd go on with my reds, because that's almost natural progression. Do your white grapes, then your red grapes, with the rosé being that beginning. But I just thought this was a really nice first wine of the evening, fresh tasting deliciousness.
I couldn't agree more. I think it stands out. It's noticeably not just a kind of typical Provence rosé. It doesn't have that kind of herbaceousness, but it's got a lot more strawberry, a lot more fruit to it.
I think a bit more texture, a bit more structure, and it just allows to drink it by itself or food pairings. It's got enough structure that you can have some good food with it. What did I put on here? I put smoked fish and sushi. That's what I went with anyway in my tasting notes. Yes, that's my tasting
Fair
notes.
enough.
But right here, so region-wise, we are in Lower Austria or Niederösterreich, which surprisingly enough, Lower Austria is in the north, which is very helpful. But it's in the lower part as far as altitude, because it's in the base of the mountains.
Lower refers to not up in the mountains, not in the south of the country.
So, and that's that's probably your biggest overall wine growing region. Then you've got sub-regions there. Kremstal, Kamptal, Wachau are all in Lower Austria. We got a map. We got a map.
We do have a map. Yeah, it's in.
It says while he plays on his telephone.
Around. So that's the overall map. Yeah, that's it.
There we are. So you've got kind of
Niederösterreich.
Yeah, the four main regions we're really going to look at is Lower Austria up here. You've then got Wein, or where Vienna is, and you've right in the city. You're just outside the city. You've got all these slopes, all these vineyards. You've then got Burgenland, decent amount of red wine here. A lot of Zweig here. And then Steiermark.
Where you're starting to get up into the Alps a little bit more, and you're very close to the Slovenian border. It's to such an extent that Jamie gets charged roaming fees when he goes into the vineyard.
So I don't want to be on holiday snaps this time, because we don't have any wines from Steiermark on this tasting, but we will do that. It was probably my biggest surprise. When I went out there for Vivina for this conference and then went down to Steiermark for a few days. lots of Sauvignon Blancs down there of just a very, very different style. And we were driving down this little road, and my phone beeped, and it's like, you are now being charged for roaming because you've gone to Slovenia, and then came back across the border going, now you're back in Austria. And the road is literally down the, you can stand and you can see the border. And we went and looked at these vineyards, and we're like, oh, where's the border? And it's like, see that row of trees? That farmhouse is in Austria. That one there is in Slovenia. And I think, for me, having grown up in the UK and then spending some time in the States, the whole level of what a border is very different to me to what it is walking through Europe. There was this one table that half of it you can be sat with friends, half of you are in Austria, half you're in Slovenia, and it's really, really cool to be able to do that. And they're talking about, people coming to work from Slovenia and people from Austria, certain things they'll go over the border because on a Sunday the shops in Slovenia
so they're much cheaper.
Well, but not even that. They're open later, so you can go and get something later. It was really cool.
Have you got the Wine Folly map there? I thought we had it.
Well, that one.
Yeah, that one. So yeah, absolutely big massive shout outs to the people at Wine Folly who do these wonderful regional maps. We've got all of them. We used to have them plastered up all around the winery in Tring. Really, really good little sort of reference points to go to, and you can get downloadable versions. So yes, Wine Folly, an excellent source of wine maps. And yes, Kathy, that's right. The Nieder Österreich is definitely referring to the altitude rather than the latitude. So yeah.
But when you look at it on a flat map, it's quite confusing.
It looks quite confusing indeed. And yeah, certainly that sort of southwestern corner as you go across into Carinthia and you start getting into the world of lakes and Klagenfurt am Wörthersee, absolutely beautiful, but it becomes a little bit more challenging for wine. I was actually really surprised that the time we spent down there a couple of years ago, wine was pretty much, there were all sorts of different beers available, but wine was very much, you could have wine. That was your choice. You could have wine, and it was white, and it was probably Gruner, but that was, they weren't big into their wine. Suddenly, as you go just the west of that, and then you suddenly end up into kind of that disputed region of Austria, which is very much kind of changed hands a little bit as the border has gone between Italy and Austria and over the years in your sort of the I've forgotten the region. What's it called? Bloody hell. Anyway, doesn't matter. But yes, heading up into the mountains there, you are very quickly down into Italy, into some really, really exciting wine territory. But yeah, the majority of this, you will notice from that map, that's pretty much mainly talking about the very eastern part of the country, and that's because it's lower, and so it keeps the heat. Yeah, that's generally speaking where you go, and it's all pretty rivery and lakey, isn't it, around the sort of the Danube?
Well, yeah. So you've got the Danube that comes in, and then in the middle of Burgenland, you've got the near the Sea lake, which is it's just this massive bit of water in the middle of right there. Yeah. Just massive bit of water in the middle of the region. We'll talk a little bit more about that when we get onto the ferment, because the ferment is in that part of the world.
Right, it's on the Hungarian border there.
Exactly.
So, yeah, absolutely. But even when you're in Vienna and you're looking up and you're having a nice Wiener Schnitzel or a nice Sachertorte, you can see in the sort of Tamna region, exactly, Sophia, as you go towards where all of these wonderful thermal spas are, which you should always go and check out because they're great. In that kind of southwestern part, the Tamna region. Even from Vienna, you can see the vineyards. You can take the tram. You can take the
tram up into the vineyards. Yeah, absolutely. It's not far at all. Not far at all.
Absolutely. But you were sort of mostly. We should probably start thinking about wine number 2. But
by thinking, you mean drinking?
Pouring, yes, indeed. But you were so the VA Vinum conference.
Wine conference.
Wine conference happens every 2 years.
Every 2 years, yes.
And it's what did you spend most of your time doing? Was it sort of
Drinking wine.
drinking wine? Obviously, thank you. We got that bit.
Helpful.
Yeah. Helpful as always.
So
what's the kind of format? Are you like doing a sort of this is a tasting of this particular region, or does it move on to?
So let's move the taste notes on,
Okay.
so people can start.
That's a good idea.
So people can start putting these in, and I'll introduce. So we're moving on to, and then I'll talk about Vivinum in the interim. So stay with Waldstutz, and this is their Weissburgunder. So Weissburgunder is a
Weiss means white.
Burgunder means
from Burgundy.
So it's a white Burgundy. So therefore, it's Chardonnay. Doesn't work, does it? So we are Pinot Blanc. So you have. Blanc. So you'll see Grauburgunder, you'll see Weissburgunder, you'll see Spätburgunder,
Frauburgunder occasionally.
Exactly.
As well.
So so that is your Pinot Blanc, your Pinot Gris, your Pinot Noir, but from those regions.
And the Frau is the Pinot Noir précoce, the precocious Pinot Noir that ripens just so early.
So this is from Wagram, and what I think I've got here, if I've got it right, is I have a little map. He says, there we are. And you can see where in Austria all these things are from. So top right, I know, you didn't know I put that together, did you? So we can kind of see there around it, but you can see how you've got, I don't know why I wiggle the mouse around doing this, I do it by habit, and no one can see what I'm pointing out. But if you look at the top left corner, you can see we've got a fair few wines from Austria, all in a similar area, but all have very different soil structures in that part of the world. And you can see we're, Campstel, Wagram, Camptal, Wachau, or all that kind of area. So you're going further north, it's getting a little bit cooler, and it gets even, it gets cooler the further west you go. So as you go to that real west side, you end up with great Gruners. Rieslings love it there because it's cool enough. Almost shouldn't grow, but because you've got it wouldn't grow without the river, but because you've got the river, you get double photosynthesis because the light comes down, sunlight comes down and reflects off the river, comes back up, so that reflection saves the day for you. They also make a bit of Zect
as well down there, the sparkling.
They do a little bit, not huge amounts, but probably out of major styles, my least favourite style of sparkling. Okay. After last weekend, Cremant d'Alsace was my new go-to.
You love Cremant d'Alsace, and that is fair. But I think this is a really, this one surprised us when we did the tasting. We were like, we weren't expecting. We probably were thinking we're going to have several Gruner Veltliners to try to show some difference, but this one really stood out as this is delicious. It's super fun.
I'm really interested in the chat. Who is surprised that Jamie has not put a Riesling into this tasting, or just in shock? So I like that. So Sam's comment
reminds you of mead.
Yeah, that comment there, it's got that honeyed, floral kind of textural kind of thing. Pinot Blanc, I think, is almost like Chardonnay for people who don't like Chardonnay. It's got that texture, it's got that fruit, it's delightful.
And they use a little bit of oak in this as well, don't they? It's all big kind of food reserves.
Yeah, like 500 litres. And I think that's important, and we're seeing a lot of people in white wines. You've got your classic styles who are doing the 225s because they want that. And so you used to be 225 or stainless steel, and that was it. It was very like the two ends of oak. Yeah. What we're starting to see in a lot of wine regions is there's a lot more use of big barrels. There's a lot more use of second, third, fourth fill oak.
Don't give you that hit.
So it's about just bringing it all together. Just bringing it all together. It's not about slapping in the face with vanilla and coconut and dill. It's kind of what we can have that, and the wine doesn't have to be quite so angular and quite so. That's the technical term.
Stainless steel is, of course, remarkably good at keeping oxygen out. It's a crystalline substance, just like the aluminium that we make our pouches out of, and so you end up with this thing which is really great for preserving fruit flavors, but it's not quite so good for rounding out the wine. Wine likes a tiny bit of oxygen. It absolutely is crying out for a tiny bit of oxygen as it gets older. If you don't have enough oxygen going into the wine, you end up developing the flavors of rotten eggs, which are not really the kind of thing that you look for in a wine. Not when you crack open a fresh, like, this smells like my eggs have gone off. So, it's they call this micro-oxygenation, and there's various different ways of trying to pretend that you're doing it by putting a kind of a stone with tiny little holes in that you bubble oxygen into in a controlled way. But the proper way of doing it is in a good-sized, big wooden neutral oak foudre, or even bigger than that. And that, I think, gives it its really dominant character, this one. It's just so good.
Absolutely. Like, the time before, when I was in Austria 2019, and I was in the Wachau, in this kind of region, these underground cellars, and there's 10,000 litre barrels down there. Just it's like, how did you get them? They've built the barrels underground. They're taking them.
You have to.
You can't roll them in and out. No. And it's just absolutely amazing. And the wines are just there and hanging out. And in Germany they have them, and it's like, here's some Riesling that we've been playing with. We've just held it for 10 years, and that's really exciting.
Photo in the tasting notes is Muscle Bay.
Oh, it is. There we are.
Well spotted,
for everyone's testing.
Yeah, a nice school night wine. I'm liking that tasting note. I think so. It's beautiful. It's really good, and not the kind of style of wine that I normally associate with Austria. So that's one of the fun things to do. This is what the bottle looks like.
I think the packaging's really nice.
Great. If it hasn't frozen again, which it looks like it has done, but yeah,
that's right.
See, come and go.
I've got to go with that point. A nice school night wine. I have to. Am I allowed to disagree with the chat? I think this is dangerous because it's very, very drinkable, and it's also very, very 14%.
That is
so.
True.
On a school night, I could see this catching up with me.
To be fair, though, it's on the school night where I quite often need one after I've got the kids into bed after a day of running around.
So it's
like
more about their school night than your school night.
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
I like that. You go back, you go in first time, and you've got this nice crisp acidity to it because it gets quite warm during the day. It really does, and the rivers are moderating fact, and what was I say? I'm worried about QR codes.
You'd never guess that both of us are actually suffering from a virus at the moment of some description, and are perhaps not at our finest. But we will muck on through, and yes.
So you've got this massive diurnal shift, which means that you can get this beautiful ripe round fruit and these honeyed characteristics and this baked apple characteristic. But you've still got lovely acidity. It's lovely and fresh, and I think this is a great food wine. This with a cheese board would be perfect.
It would indeed. It really would. Lovely stuff. But yes, quite deceiving at 14%. So careful on glugging that one in the same way that one might knock back a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc at sort of 12%. So yeah. But not your typical Austrian wine. So a fun one to have in mind. And I also found this one quite, for the quality it delivers, quite reasonably priced as well, I think.
I think these guys offer, they're not. It's once again, it's
they're
all
not cheap.
Food. They're not cheap, but they're not silly money for. If you looked at other wines across France and the rest of Europe of similar quality, right. I think you'd be very, very happy with the price that it is.
Absolutely. Waldschutz, really cool winemaker, and they've been making wine since 1849 as well. So there's a bit of history there that you're tasting too. We've gone into this and we haven't had any Gruner Veltliner, which is kind of cool.
I like the tasting notes here. It's lots of different things. It covers your citrus, your stone fruits, your orchard fruits. It's got some tropical in there. It's got those kind of slightly tertiary kind of notes in there. Even though it's not, it's not an old wine. A couple of years on it, but it's not old.
But it's got that waxiness that you quite often get in a sort of an Alsace Pinot Gris.
Really, that kind of weightiness, that textural.
Tongue, it weighs
you get
a
that.
lot.
You find that with that. You find that in Gruner Veltliner as well. It's got that kind of like beany kind of thing going on. Which
it doesn't do so much in the glass. It's not kind of got that sort of viscosity that some do on the glass, but you definitely taste that it's got that. So yeah. And we have a recommendation as well. Goat's cheese as well. The same one that you had for the food and wine pairing salad. Excellent.
Nice.
Excellent. I like that.
Standard cheese for tasting night. I like that.
Quite
I like
right
that a
too.
lot. Anyway, should we move to Gruner? Let's go to Gruner.
I think we should. We should have some Gruner. It is, after all, Austria's grape.
Gruner.
So wine number 3.
So we are.
Who here in the tasting was with Ben and the team for the sorted food wine tasting it was about a week and a bit ago.
Week past Friday.
Just week last Friday. Because I really enjoyed some of the wines that they'd picked as well. I think it was super fun to do that one. They're gathering feedback at the moment, so if you were on that tasting and you've got any nice things or less nice things to say, or at least if make them constructive, but let us know about it, and we can feed all of that back.
Oh, look at that! He's looking for some feedback.
Yeah, good.
Gruner is one of your favourites. I like that.
Yeah, it's really funny, isn't it? It's not necessarily a grape that I would have ever said when I was not in the industry, I'm going to go out and buy some Gruner Veltliner. You didn't, really? You did your... That's fantastic. How about that? That is amazing. So, yeah. He's a great guy, and he has been a great supporter of the club as well. So we've been delighted to work with them. They couldn't have been a better partner, really. And looking forward to doing the next one, I hope. So fingers crossed. So now we're on to Gruner Veltliner. Where are we in the country on your magic map again? Should I bring that up?
You can bring that up. We are in the Wachau. So this is about as far west as you can go in Austria and
make wine. Yeah.
And make wine. And what's really cool about this is this whole region is based on single vineyard plots. It absolutely is. You know, going all the way from Bruck to Dürsten to Achleiten, kind of all the way through.
Is it fair to say that they think they're a little bit better than the rest of Austrian wine?
No, they just have a slightly different system.
Yeah, I mean, the system the rest of the people didn't use that isn't good enough. So
they still use the same system. So there's the DAC system. So the DAC system, it works the same way as AOC or DOC or whatever. Yep. And it's about quality and regionality and grapes you can grow. Sorry, excuse me.
But they also have the Germany system.
Well, no. So they've got the Wachau system. But anyway, we'll go into that in a minute because we're going to talk about the wine first.
All right.
Okay. What is amazing about this? So it's all kind of single. It's very single vineyard led in Wachau, and
you can smell the acidity.
And it was a region that I went and visited and did a deep dive into Wachau, 2 days, just Wachau, and it was really, really cool. And it was 2019 when I went there, so it was a pre-pandemic. It was my last wine trip before COVID, so I kind of that's what I lived on for 3 years. I'm like, I want to go somewhere again. But I remember
spring wasn't quite good.
So we got up in the morning and we drove out to a vineyard that was all the way west. It was called Bruck, and got out of the van, up the slope, and it was get your jacket on, shaking, shivering cold. Okay, absolutely freezing. And this was in late April, early May, so it was spring. It wasn't cold times. We then went down to the river, jumped on a boat, and went down the Danube. Looking at different vineyards, tasting the wine that matched the vineyards. But the thing that I remember is we went round this bend in the river, and we went round this bend, and all of a sudden, it was 2 or 3 degrees warmer.
Yeah.
Just from that change of aspect and the change of the wind and the change of that, and it just shows that that's where you made this different style of wine and this different style of wine. And
if you've got a difference that dramatic, I can understand how you could give a different label to a different subset in the kind of same Premier Cru, Grand Cru kind of system.
So what they have there, so you'll have your single vineyard, say Achleiten. Yeah. I love Achleiten. It was my favourite vineyard out there. Well, we haven't got that today, but you've then got the Wachau. So you've got Steinfelder, which is your lighter style, and that's named after the little wispy plants, almost look like hay that kind of grow at the side of the river. So that's your lighter style. You've then got Federspiel, which is named after the falcon that you find in the region, and then you've got Smaragd, which is the little lizard. And I want to sing "I'm a little lizard sitting on a rock."
I'm a little lizard standing on a rock.
Yes, but we're not going to do that.
The rock is
so that is based on alcohol content, and the wine has to be at a certain alcohol. Just look how mental these tasting notes are. Look. So this is what Gruner does. Big apple, big.
Banana cream.
Have we got?
Willowy.
I'm not going to say it. I'm going to see if it comes up, because there is one giveaway telltale sign in blind tastings that makes me know that this is Gruner, and it's not in those tasting notes yet. So yeah, so you've got the DA.
So if you've done a WSET 3, you could possibly
guess what you should be tasting if you didn't like to taste it. So you've got the DAC, which is about grape variety, and they're now trying to put in this Premier Cru system in Austria as well, the Premier Lagen, whatever. So it's that is in certain regions, but not in different regions, and that's a conglomerate, a bit like the VDP in Germany, that you've got to sign up to be a part of it.
Do you remember the bit where you decided you were going to create a description of German wine law that would send children to sleep at night?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's move on from that. We've done German law. You're quite right. I poked you. I'm sorry, it's my mistake. But yes, if you want to go and read about Austrian wine law, you've got a few things to look into. But
and what
let's just enjoy the wine.
And what I will say, in the next 5 years, it'll all be changed again.
It will.
So
inevitably.
So yeah, when I was at Vivina, I sat in a lot of masterclasses about growth systems and Cherville, eh?
Someone's got it.
There we are. So my one telltale sign, if I'm blind tasting and I get white pepper and I've got that weightiness and that waxiness, that usually gives me a big clue that I've got a glass of Gruner Veltliner. But anyway, this is
Practice. Go and stick your nose in a pot of white pepper and snort the whole lot of it, and that will give you Gruner Veltliner, basically.
Yes. So this is Leo Altinger's Gruner Veltliner from Dernstein. I love how these tasting notes just going and going and going.
I think I find it more on the nose than I do on the palate, but yeah.
See,
it is a tricky one.
But Magda, I think the important thing with that is being able to put your hands up and go,
yeah,
I don't. There's so many people out there that I can turn around and go, oh, that's white peaches, and everyone goes, white peaches. I'm going to go off at a tangent here because I like tangents today. I'm very tangible. So I was running this wine program in Washington DC, and like really, really, really high end place, and we played this game with our guests. What is the most ridiculous tasting note we can get someone to agree on? Yeah.
Oh, right.
So, you can turn around and taste like this, and and it was this Pinot Noir I poured down, and they're like, yeah, it's this, or, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, really tastes like, like molten lava rocks. And the lady at the table turned around to her partner or husband and goes, see, I knew that. I knew it tasted like molten lava rocks. Oh. And I'm just sat there going, yes. For all those people who have been out and licked a bit of molten lava and lived to tell the tale, or had any taste buds to tell them about it.
Wow.
So I think sometimes it's important just to go, I don't get it. I don't see it.
Don't worry.
And that's fine. And
don't worry.
Some people are very, very sensitive to things. You look at
everyone's completely sensitive.
You look at the chemical makeups that make up these aromas. Some you can pick up, some you can't. Some people can tell that wine's walked past an oak tree at some time in its life, and other people go, really? There's new oak? There is nothing but new oak there, and they don't pick it up.
Our friend and colleague Vitas, who sits down in production and is right there now making advent calendars because it's that time of the year. He can detect cork taint to a level that even the two of us really struggle with. So he'll bring up a bottle and go, I'm not so sure about this one. Can you check it? And we'll have to pour some out into a glass and swirl it and sip it. And yeah, he's got incredibly sensitive. I'd say he is as sensitive to that as Jamie is to being called James, which is pretty sensitive. It's not my name.
You have never mentioned that on the show, and now I'm very upset.
But it's not your name. I get it. It's fine. Anyway, so Gruner Veltliner from Wachau. Cool, but hot. Lots of caves dug into the mountains, aren't there?
Yeah. It's absolutely insane that you go to a winery. So I use Domaine Wachau as an example.
So is that Wachau there?
So that is Brook. That's
Brook, okay.
that's the cold vineyard there, and you just see that's
right,
there.
Yeah.
You see how steep that is going up in those
up the hill
terraces. I'm doing that, and no one can see my hand, and no one can see what I'm doing here. So, but yeah, so you've got lots of terrace vineyards. So that's looking basically to the right and down the hill. That's where the river would be.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, you put me off. What was I talking about? Cellars.
Being called James.
No, we were not talking about that. So you see these wineries, and it's like that looks like there's two buildings. You're like, how? And you know what kind of production they do.
Yeah.
And you go in, and these were hand dug in the 15th, 16th century by monks, dug out by hand, and you walk, and it's all slightly damp, slightly mouldy, which is exactly what you need, because you need that level of humidity. And all the bottles none of the bottles have their real labels on them. So the bottles are there lying out, and then when they're ready to go, they'll take them up, clean them down, put the capsules on, add the labels there, because otherwise everything just rots off. But there's lots of cool stuff going on.
So if your wine is too cold, cup it and get a little bit of heat into the glass. Do all the things they tell you not to do. Just get a bit of heat in. So as the wine warms up a bit, you start to release some of those aromas. So yeah, it really depends on what you prefer. Some people like to have all of those flavors. Some people like to have it cold and refreshing. But certainly, you will get more of the characteristics by giving.
And I think the question here is actually quite good, because this isn't what's the best temperature to drink it. It's the temperature to get the characteristics. So if you've got something like a Pinot Grigio, light, fresh going, 6-8 degrees is good for you. Happy days. Something like this, personally, for me to be able to start pulling all the characteristics out of it, maybe 10, maybe 12 degrees would be good. And then kind of like a big Chardonnay, something like a Macon or, a Cali Chard or White Rhone, for example, maybe a little bit warmer than that, 14, maybe even 16. Because people talk about, with red wines as well, we talk about room temperature, but that was when room temperature was 18 degrees, not this balmy 23, which is apparently what the world likes these days.
True. That's a delicious wine. It's got all of those kind of rocky mineral characteristics that you want, but combined with some really quite ripe fruit characteristics and zingy acidity. Really awesome. Like we can see that there's stone fruits, apricot, grapefruit. We've got the white pepper. We've got apple, green apple in particular. So that slightly sort of zestier kind of style. And the slate, the mineral characteristics there.
So that's
a cool wine.
This wine sits at the Federspiel level, so it's in the middle. So it's not the lightest style, and it's not the weightiest style. Federspiel, Smaragd, I think, is 14.5. It's either 14 or 14.5 minimum. I don't want anyone to shout at me they got it wrong. And this is 12. So
to have that level of weightiness and complexity from a wine that's 12%, I think is really, really interesting.
It is, compared to the last wine being 14%. They're both being in balance. They're not hot. They're not wishy-washy. Where they're lighter, they're really, really good.
It's true.
I like to warm the wine. See, doesn't stay in my mouth long enough to warm it up. Fantastic. Right.
But I mean, how I'm guessing the people on this tasting, a lot of you will have tried some Gruner Veltliners before. How does that one compare to other ones that you've had? I'm sure that, if you're buying those Smaragd ones that are super, super expensive from the Wachau, maybe they're a little bit weightier, a little bit... warming.
lot more texture, lot more food. So what I like about Fennispiel, it's so flexible, it's so dynamic. It can be done. You can just drink it if you want to drink it. You can have food if you want to have food. That's what it does. It's really kind of versatile. When you get to the Smarag level, you're getting that real kind of mouthfeel, textural, because it's got to have all that fruit and all that power to be able to balance that higher alcohol of a relatively delicate white wine. So it definitely starts to cry out for a little bit more food, a little bit. It's not something. Sorry, it's not something that you would sit and potentially drink just 2-3 glasses of at a bar. Whereas that you could bang a bottle and the world's a good place.
I couldn't agree more. Yeah. So really,
is there a practical wine thermometer? That's
an excellent question.
A good question. I've never used one. I've never used a wine thermometer. I know some people live and die by it. I remember doing a tasting where the winemaker put all his wines on ice, including the reds, knowing that the length of the dinner by the time and we took them all out the ice at the beginning of the dinner, knowing that by the time it got to that course, it would be at the right temperature to drink, which I thought was insane yet genius. I don't know.
So I like this concept. So I've got one of these laser pointy infrared kind of thermometers that just reads, from a surface area. I use it for measuring the stone my pizza oven is at the right temperature, or occasionally I've used it for doing caramel and things like that. And that's quite a nice alternative to doing it. But yeah, something like that you just looks like a sort of a plastic gun thing that it goes beep, tells you what the temperature is. That's quite good, and you don't have to dunk anything into your wine.
They used to do that to let you go in a bar.
That's true, they did. Yes, back in COVID time, it was all very much like that. Wow, quite
so
right.
the weird wine person in me goes,
I've used mine,
but I'm like, why? Pick it up. If it's too cold for you, give it a swirl. If it's too warm, stick it in the fridge for a few minutes. I saw. This is tangent night, isn't it? So you see the beer. You see the beer cans like Coors have. The mountains go blue and your beer's as cold as the Rockies, kind of thing.
Good gimmick.
I saw a great thing. So this must be 10 years ago now. But Heineken put up a massive billboard going, "Oh, you've got 5 great ways to tell if your beer's cold enough." And it's just a picture of someone with their fingers around the can going, "You'll know if it's cold enough." So yeah, I'd love to actually do a wine tasting and somehow to put together with some of these geeky kind of contraption things and go what people's thoughts are. Do they work?
We should do a few little YouTube shorts that are like wine gadgets reviews. We tried one the other day at the London Wine Fair, which was really interesting.
Don't we might have an exclusive to demo that with people.
Oh,
I'm talking to them.
I didn't know that. That's okay.
I know that's only come in today. So
what was that with Luke?
No, with the people, the manufacturers contacted me today saying we saw it at London Wine Fair. I'd love to work with you.
Interesting.
Anyway, let's pretend that never happened, and we'll move on to wine number 4.
Okay, wine number 4. What are we drinking? I have no idea.
It's fermented grape juice.
Thank you. That's helpful. Basically.
Or is it fermented grape juice?
Oh, this one. Yeah, this was cool. Again, it was just too cool not to put in.
So ferment, love ferments. A lot of times when you get ferment in Austria, it's sweet. It's used for Dockeye and really decadent, over-the-top sticky wines. Yep. And this one...
Which are wonderful, don't get me wrong.
Oh, absolutely, love the things.
Who doesn't love
but
Dockeye?
This one is not. And this is by... Where's my bottle? Got the bottle. This is from Triumbar. And this is in Rust. And these are right on the
Hungary border.
Yeah, on the Austro-Hungarian border, on the shores of Lake Nizhidasi. So this is an area, Nizhidasi. It's DAC. It's it is its own DAC if you follow the rules for Zweigelt and stuff like that. And I sat in on a masterclass just on that region and absolutely loved it. And I'm like, we can get really, really geeky, we could do a masterclass just on that region because it's really, really cool. What's fun about that lake is it is 350 square miles.
That's a big lake, yeah.
But I could walk across it.
Could you?
Yeah, you can.
Is this a short joke?
It is, because at its deepest point, it is 5'11". So you've got this massive, massive, massive lake, but it's only yay deep in its deepest place. So there's lots of ebbs and flows, and there's certain times you can have boats in it and not boats in it because it will run aground. You've got to be very careful. So massive, massive lake, very there, but so much water, which gives this wonderful moderating climate.
Yes.
That allows, it doesn't get too cold, it doesn't get too hot, which allows good ripening. What are you doing?
I'm trying to find a picture of it now, just because I think that'll be quite a fun thing to have. But yeah, no. Let's stick to the wine. So, Firmin, normal sweet. I've had it in some pretty high-end restaurants as a dry wine. Actually, one in Budapest itself, and it was stunning, really stunning. And we also did one just around Christmas last year.
We did the Gobo.
Yeah, that was brilliant. So yeah. I've got,
and I think it's an absolute phenomenal style. But I think this is another one that
it's quite a different style.
It's not an international grape, and outside of Austria, it's not really seen, and therefore it's difficult to go.
It's like the brand isn't the grape; the brand is Tokai. Like not many people know of Firmint. So
yeah, but I think that's the whole of Europe suffers that. Outside of the wine community, Burgundy's Burgundy, and people go, I don't like Chardonnay, but I love a Chablis kind of thing.
Yeah.
Tokai is Tokai, Sauterne is Sauterne, and you tell people that Sauterne is Sauvignon Blanc, and people go, what? That's not Sauvignon Blanc. Sauvignon Blanc tastes like this. But so this is a husband-wife couple, Gunther and Regina, make this wine, and the family's been making it since late 1600s in Rust.
Crazy.
And I think this is the thing. We go, oh, this is new to our repertoire, and it's not overly global. But so many of these wines have been made for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years, and it's just we've either not seen them, or they've not been exported, or the styles that have been exported haven't travelled well, or the ones that have been exported have been the cheap and cheerful because they offered the value into a new market. But we're starting to see the really good quality stuff.
I think also, do you know what, this might be a good moment to just give a bit of a big up to Alpine Wines, the importer, who I think it's really nice to work with a specialist who has this range and who brings in and focuses on doing one thing really well. And so they've been immensely useful, and we'd certainly love to do some more wines from them if we could ever find a way of doing things like Swiss wines in the budget, then that would be great. But maybe we'll have to do it as a standalone special again. There are so many cool things happening in this part of the world, and that's what these guys do. So it was immensely, immensely useful just to be able to say to them, look, could you come in and bring us, say, 20 wines that you think would fit in with this tasting, and let's go through them. And so we just sat down, we blasted through, and they did that whole thing of telling us the stories and introducing the people behind it. And so that's been really, really cool. So it's been great working with Alpine Wine. So thanks to Joel and Tim.
Yeah, Tim sent me his slideshow of holiday snaps to get a feel of what it was all about. But that's the thing, is it's taking people to the place, and the stories and the people behind it is really important.
If you're one of the bigger wine importers, you're not going to focus in on a dry ferment from Eastern Austria, are you? That's not going to be. You're not going to go into a pub and the pub's going to say, why haven't you got any ferment at this price point? That's just not something. So it's definitely got to be a labour of love.
Absolutely. I'm just finding my notes so I don't give the wrong numbers. Absolutely. But I'm talking a little bit about the sustainability Austria thing. Where's my notes?
It is all about stories. And boy, do we have a story for you on the last wine. I think the last wine was one of the most interesting stories that I think I've heard from the world of wine.
Absolutely. So, you've got now, and this is where we need to get a new camera back in here. You can't see,
I can try it one more time.
It's fine.
It'll probably make the computer
but there's a little symbol on the back for Sustainable Austria, where wines have to meet certain criteria. And it's not organic, it's not biodynamic, it's not, some whimsical word that, people go, oh, yes, it needs to be this. What I like about these guys is, yes, they're sustainable, and sustainable is important as going forward. They are also organic. But does it say organic on the label?
No.
No. Do you know why?
It costs a lot of money.
It costs a lot of money to say that you're organic. So have they decided to let people know? If you ask them, they say, yes, we have all organic practices.
Which is it's tough, because on one hand, you could then say, I'm organic, and no, there's nothing to prove it by. However, the problem that I have is those people who go and certify that you're organic quite often will rubber stamp some pretty awful practices, whereas actually there are people who are doing much better practices who haven't got that stamp, and they just care about it. And I think these guys care about it, and they have their name literally all over it. They're all around the top of the thing. It says Gunther und Regina Triembaumer Trust. Rust. So their hometown, their names, their family. That's what they care about, and they aren't going to then go off and do something awful in the vineyards if they like
so,
that.
And I think there's a lot about sustainability right now. There's a lot about organic. There's a lot about biodynamic, and it is all over the wine world. And people have their
good point.
Their things that they have to do. Okay, and what I'm about to say next is absolutely my opinion, no fact. My personal opinion. The Online Wine Tasting Club does not hold the same opinions as me all the time, whatever it is, yes. But I think sustainability is a good start, but it's not good enough. Sustainable means keeping it the same. So if we're going to keep it the same, we know it's already slightly ruined. So I think regenerative is more important. Mm-hmm. But I think more important than anything is best practice, because the little guys out there can't always afford to do it perfectly right, get the right paperwork signed off, have the right thing. A pest comes in and they have the chance of either spraying or going out of business. And sometimes we romanticize wine and go, it's these big flowing vineyards and chateaus and this. I think what we've got to do, and it's as a wine professional, there's due diligence for me to do to make sure what I'm selling ticks the boxes that I respect. Yep. But also as the consumer, it's just take that little bit of dig deeper. It's it is a very don't judge a book by its cover. Mm-hmm. Just because it doesn't say organic doesn't mean it's not best practice and it's not doing great things. It might be doing one little thing that means that they can't certify themselves organic.
Excellent. That's a tasting note we haven't had, but yes, why not? Toes, goodness me, that is definitely different. Me too.
So I just think,
what's important is what's in the glass. It's not that it's not important. I think if we were going to try to go and save the environment, the first place to start in the world of wine is the glass bottle. That's the fundamental. That is by far and away the biggest.
I'm going to stop now. I was on my high horse, and now he's gone glass bottles.
Sorry, I've got a sustainability conference coming up in a few weeks' time, and it's sponsored by one of the country's largest glass manufacturers. And we've been told we're not allowed to say anything nasty about glass, which is ridiculous because it's the largest contributor. It's around about 50% of the carbon footprint of a wine bottle is the bottle. So, yeah.
So anyway, we should put it into underground pipes and drink it directly from the tap.
Sounds good.
Everyone should have a wine tap in their house connected to their local vineyards.
I couldn't agree more with this. Regenerative Viticulture Association, Justin Howard-Snade, amazing guy. He's deeply involved with that. Anne Jones, who's been one of our big proponents. She was one of the buyers at Waitrose. She's now working at the sustainability in drinks and at the Regenerative Viticulture Association. I spent a lot of time over in Paso Robles with Jason Huss from Tablas Creek, and we really, really want to do a tasting of like a whole bunch of his wine to get him involved with it, because I've now taken footage through their vineyards, and it's amazing to see in practice the kind of cool things they're doing. What a tangent this is, but yes, absolutely. What about bottle aging without the bottle? It's not an insurmountable problem. Put it that way. I think that it's a problem that's been greatly overstated, and I think we could fix that one pretty easily in reality.
I also go to that. It doesn't need to be a one size fits all situation, but if we look at the real numbers of how much wine is actually bottle aged as a percentage of total wine, I'm hazarding it's going to be quite low.
Yeah. I agree. And talking of Tablas Creek, Jason's coming over to the UK end of October. He's going to be popping over to see us, and he's just an amazing guy. He just the level of thought behind each one of the decisions that they make, and the fact that they're trying to achieve real results rather than just ticking a box. You know, they want to understand what makes this thing work. They want to understand the bit of it that works, rather than just, let's do this because it's that cycle of the moon kind of thing. So yeah,
absolutely,
really
there's a good point in that, but we should probably move on to the next wine, because
we should. Yeah, gosh, I'm falling behind. Yeah. This is a sign of the times.
When we had the little shop, we had a wall of taps that had wines on cake, and for that, I just want to have a litre of wine to drink on a Tuesday night, share with my friends, kind of thing. There was some really good, delicious wines.
I think bulk wine. Well, this is the trouble. That when you're shipping wine in containers, people like to either do it in a glass bottle or in a 12,000 or 24,000 litre container.
There's not a lot of mid-ground.
There's not mid-ground, and the winemakers are very worried. And I have to say, it's really interesting. In some discussions with Lakewaits that we had a few years ago, they were finding the wine quality was going off even in those big flexi tanks sometimes, and they were really shocked at what it was doing to it. Have we done a sustainable wines tasting yet? I think generally not
a focus,
not just on wine.
It.
We've covered the topic a lot of times, but I think that could be a fun one. So let's take some wines from the pioneers of sustainability around the world. Do you know who I want to get? Mimi Castile. Mimi Castile is another one of my absolute heroes in the viticultural space. She is an organic, regenerative thought leader who has this incredible set of vineyards in Oregon that's sort of in her family, and she understands everything. They have to deal with they deal with all of these kind of real challenges because of the way they're doing things. And they tend to think of it as letting the entire ecosystem fix the problem by dealing with it in a very natural way. So she's amazing. If you are a proper wine geek,
if anyone wants us to go back to Austria at any point,
Levi Strauss's wine podcast, I'll drink to that. He has an interview with Mimi Castile. Check that one out; it's excellent.
Sustainable farming, because it's in his genes.
It's
Levi
true.
Strauss.
It's true. We're back to
Walderschutz.
Walderschutz. Sorry, I was trying to find where the umlaut is. Sustainable can be a loose term. Let's get that bottle away because it's not that one anymore.
You want the new one?
Let's have the new one.
So that one.
So we're back at Walderschutz. Sorry that we've done 3 from the same winery, but they're all really good.
They're all really good, and they all show the thing. So the next 2 wines, the next two wines are both Zweigels. One is a relative new one, and one is a aged one.
They couldn't be more different, really, could they?
Just to showcase what it is. So let's move the tasting notes on this one.
Let's move the tasting notes on to one of Walderschutz Zweigelt. So Zweigelt.
Dr. Fritz Zweigelt.
Dr. Zweigelt, in fact. Yeah. It's not a kind of romantic story, is it, that it was made by a scientist?
Please note that I made a fantastic joke. Of course I did.
Come off it. Yes. He didn't really. Don't encourage him. Yeah, the W on the bottle, which is cut into the thing. I think it's excellent.
It's
a really
very
interesting
simple,
font.
very cool.
I like
So,
it. It also sort of kind of implies various things that I'm not entirely sure.
so in the Fels Vineyard in Wagram here, and this is full of the. I'll put my bottle somewhere. It's full of this.
Oh, sorry, I've just covered you up. So there you go. So
You
this
might
is
Wazowski
the
me.
sandy soil. I like to do that.
So lots of this kind of sandy loose soil here, and that allows a little bit of water retention and just enough balance to get this beautiful fragrance. So, you know, I've always championed this grape, but I've always loved this. We used to have someone bought like 36 bottles of this Zweigelt from us a month, and then I'm like, how you do it? Are you bathing in it? Is it good for your skin? But if people ask me what my tasting notes are for Zweigelt, it has always been if Syrah and Pinot Noir had a baby and it was Austrian, it would be Zweigelt. Because it's got this lovely light fruit about it. It's got this beautiful texture. It's got this little bit of spice about it. And I think it's so versatile. This is one of these wines that have a few bottles at home. You have someone come round. I've not got many people come around my house going, oh, I fancy his Zweigelt.
No.
But this for me sits in that kind of the same kind of, not for style, but what Tempranillo does. You can stick a bottle of Tempranillo in the bottom of the table and everybody's...
Your great minds think alike.
There we go. All right, there we are. So, yes. I love the fact that I tell stories and then people agree with the chat. It means that I'm not as useless as I could be. But the fact, Tempranillo does very similar, that you have people around, you stick a bottle on the table and it's going to go around, and people who like this, no one's going to be offended by it, yeah? Everyone's going to go, oh, that's nice. They might not go, oh, it's my favourite, but if you want an event wine that works for everybody, Zweigelt's a really good pick, really good pick.
Yeah. I've had some that I've felt a little bit too licoricey, and I always feel licorice can be a tiny bit divisive, but this one isn't that at all. It's got it all beautifully.
Go to a restaurant. Someone's having lamb. Someone's having a burger. Someone's having mushroom risotto. You can stick a bottle of that. If you're going to pick a bottle, you can put that in it. Will it pair perfectly with any of them? No, but will it go pretty well with everything? Yes.
There's been big discussion the last few days about whether there is such a thing as a perfect pairing or not, and people could argue about that all day long. But we've talked about that in the food and wine.
Yeah, that was last month.
So that was last month.
To be fair, the answer is yes. Easy as that.
Oh gosh, excellent! It's good to be it. I think the fun part might be to pour the second Zweigelt alongside. Should we do that? Because they're such different styles.
Okay, let's do it.
I don't know.
It's ran out of wild card there. He's hoping everyone's got 2 glasses at home now, isn't he? It's like, I've got 2 glasses. Don't worry about everyone at home.
This would definitely go well with some of the weightier fishes. I think with a monkfish dish, this would be epic. I could definitely do that. But perhaps with a sea bass, maybe, I don't know, maybe a touch overpowering, but not too bad. Still not too bad. But yeah, certainly in that weightier fish category.
Okay, so we're doing this.
Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's get them on. Let's get.
We're going to do this. Now I've got to move my notes over quicker than I was expecting.
Sorry.
Right, so
the thing is that we've done a few Valushers, mashed potato and black pepper. Is that a tasting note or a serving
pairing?
I mean, it could be either equally, to be fair. So mashed potato with gravy, maybe. A good red wine gravy made from Zweigelt.
Ooh. Right, so.
Okay, all right, so.
Zweigelt versus Zweigelt.
Let's not talk too much about what wine number 6 is.
No?
But,
okay.
Oh my God. Oh my word. Those are very different. And again, Zweigelt wasn't one where we thought we were going to have the two examples of it, but we can do some interesting side-by-side comparisons.
It's always interesting.
Look at the difference in colour.
I know a lot of people have known us for 4 years now, but we generally go to these tastings when we go, we're going to go this, and we're going to do X, Y, Z, da da da. And we think the plan's going to be we're going to do that wine, this kind of producer, that kind of style, so we can showcase. And this is going to be the theme of the tasting. We can kind of talk through, and these are going to be the steps we do.
Yeah.
Then we sit with our suppliers and go. We send them exactly the same kind of spec and go. This is what we want to talk. And then people bring us stuff, and we go.
Oh,
but we can't not show that.
We need that.
So all the pre-planning kind of goes out the window, and then suddenly we've got we've got to fit that one in. And that's what I say. It's really, really hard to showcase a country, even a region, in just 6 grapes. So people go, oh, why isn't there a Riesling? Why isn't there a Blaufränkisch? Why isn't there this? We could do Austria every month for a year. You probably get bored of it very quickly in the sound of our voices. So we just did the Austrian Wine Tasting Club.
True.
But there is this. So hopefully this gives a bit of a...
People are discussing the ISO glasses and whether they break. They're pretty unbreakable, those ones.
ISO glasses are good. Yeah. ISO glasses are good.
So I think we're all agreeing that these 2 wines, given that they're made from the same grape in the same country, are quite different.
Okay. Do we want to...
Let's start with place, shall we?
Do we want to pull the tasting notes up quickly on 5 and move them on to 6 so people can start putting their tasting notes in for the other one? And then we can flick back and forwards.
This is primarily fruit dominant, but still with some other interesting things, a bit of herbaceousness, a bit of sandalwood.
Bit of herbs at the end. I'm just reading now.
Yeah. Even a bit of grassiness and cheese from the lactic acid kind of thing coming through.
Toes.
So, toes.
No toes?
No toes.
Lactose.
It does
lactose. This one lacks toes.
And that's the quality...
so I do wine, not comedy.
That you're following us for. So the primary difference, of course, like before we start going into where they're from, obviously this one here,
Austria.
What's the vintage on this?
22.
22. So yes, Zweigelt 22 versus 19.
17.
Even older than I thought. Yeah. What does that difference in aging do? Well, obviously it develops a whole new set of complex flavors, which are really, really,
I'll tell you the difference.
Can't come from anywhere other than age.
2017, I had no children. 2022, different world. All right, so that's what's different for me between these 2 vintages. He's laughing because it's the same.
It's the truth. Jamie and I have 2 children, aged nearly 6 and nearly 9. When I say that, I don't mean we have the 2 children together. It's just a matter of some coincidence that our children are the same ages. But yes, sorry, that's the wrong one. That's the overall Austria map. This is the one which you have highlighted the places. So,
bottom right is Kiss.
Bottom right is the Kiss.
Well, it's Gish.
Okay, stop it. Kiss.
But I'm going to call it Kiss.
It's Kiss. And the other one, the Blausweigelt's up again, not far off in your Wagram region. Has that camera died again?
Yes.
Oh, classic.
Do you want to go back to the camera?
Yeah, I'll do that. Okay.
Yeah. So I've just got sound, no picture.
Yeah, leave the map. It's fine.
Lovely. So I just think this kind of showcases how you can age. So obviously we're in 2 very different regions. We're up in the Wagram for the Waldstadt, and we're on the very north tip of we're in Bergland, but we're on the Neusiedler edge. So, being in Bergland, it's more famous for its reds. The big red we're back in. The big red region of Austria is Bergland. 70% of Austria is white, about 30%, 20% is red, and then you've got some sparkling. A little bit of rosé, but yeah, very white dominant country. But the reds are really well made, but they're a lot of them are of the same ilk, because obviously Zweigelt is a blend of Saint Laurent and Blaufränkisch, so there's a lot of things that kind of sit together. But it just shows that you have the newer vintage, and it's the same with anything that's aging. You got the newer vintage, which is that lighter, fresher fruit, that more kind of crunchy fruit, that cranberry, that raspberry, that almost burst of flavour in your mouth.
Yeah.
Whereas the 2017, you've kind of seen that, and you're in this slightly warmer region as well. So the fruit is going to be a little bit more stewed, a little bit more depth, a little bit more jammy to start with.
Mhm.
But that big bold fruit allows for the aging. It allows for those stewed plum fruit to turn into these tertiary dried fruits. These deep blackcurrant flavors.
Shall I move the tasting notes on to
Yeah, I thought that's what you were doing. So
it's
people
fixing
put
the
their tasting in.
Okay, so that's our last view of it, but I think absolutely blackcurrant pepper, a little bit of wood in there, a little bit of herbaceousness.
Go.
Very cool. Oh, no. There isn't wine 6.
Have I moved it past the quiz? Go on.
You have. That's fine. Let's move
Let's
that
go there.
There we are. Happy days. Yep. There we go. No. What the heck?
Nah.
Why are you being... It's up there now. Okay. Well, we got it anyway.
Wine 6. Here we go. Done. Go. Get them in.
Yeah. Get your tasting notes in.
But I think you go with this. You've got this chocolatiness. It's almost
Oh, it's so luxurious. It's delicious.
it kind of silicone-y. That's an interesting
I like
term.
that. That's good.
It almost, whereas the Jungsweigelt is that Pinot Noir Syrah had a baby and it was Austrian.
Yeah.
This is more Zinfandel-y, Primitivo-y.
Yeah, you don't get many of those really nice aged kind of like Primitivo di Manduria, but you do get them, and this does find itself a little.
No,
bit
but
more
I'm not even saying age. Just that jamminess and that richness reminds me of that.
Oh, it's got it.
That style. So yeah, this is dried raspberry. Are we just?
It's gone again.
We're changing camera.
Let's change camera.
Change camera.
Change camera.
If anyone wants to buy us a new camera for Christmas,
I think we might just need to replace the battery. I don't know why it's plugged in. That's what's stupid.
That's what it is.
Well, that one's on. And the moment that goes, I'll just switch to software. No, it's gone. Right.
Okay, fine. Hey, I'm here.
Oh, God. It's jerking again now that one's plugged in.
Oh, my word.
Just the joy of doing things live. It's so much fun. It's not there. Okay, well, we're gonna keep plodding on while we can. The number 6 Slido is up now, so yes, let's see what people say. Everything from cherries and cedar to petroleum Black Forest Gatto, definitely, and a
badger in a pear tree. Exactly.
But very different styles for very different occasions. I think what we should say is about the story of wine number 6. So the story of wine number 6, I think, if I'm getting this right, this is a fascinating bit of Austrian wine culture. So the chap who is the current winemaker of this, whose name Jamie's about to provide me, he grew up and into a very interesting environment. So winemaking was done by a lot of Austrian families, but it was done by the women of the family. The men were supposed to go and get a proper job. They were not supposed to get into something as ridiculous and not money-making as wine. And so his mother was the winemaker. She looked after all of this. She did everything.
Do you remember when I lent you my notes? You never gave them back.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So Weingut Kiss or
Gish.
He I've only got one of the pages there, but that's fine. So I still don't have the name of it, but yes. So Rudy is the winemaker. So Rudy, he watched his mother making the wine. He went through school, went through university, and he went off to Vienna to get a job in tax law, and made it his full-time career. And yet he was working to save money back at their vineyard near the Neusiedler See. And he was commuting every single day from their home, their family home, all the way to Vienna and back again in the car. And he had this kind of dual life. He was helping out around the winery and everything as a kind of like just to help his mother as she got older. And in 1997, at the age of 30, he had a horrific car accident, falling asleep behind the wheel on the way back after a night at a long day at work. Heading back home, he fell asleep behind the wheel, had a massive accident, nearly died. Survived, decided this was almost like a God's intervention kind of thing, that he couldn't be doing this boring job and doing this dual life. And so he quit his tax job. He'd saved up some money through living at home, and he decided he was going to take on becoming the wine maker and was going to make wine his full-time career. So the first thing he realized was that they only had 3 hectares of land. And it's very difficult to make 3 hectares into a sustainable business that can look after your entire family. So he bought an extra 7 hectares of land, and they decided they're going to plant it. And unfortunately, when they went to go and try to plant it,
It weren't great, was it?
it wasn't the best soil in the entire known world. It was, in fact, bloody awful, to use not too fine a point. And so it was very rocky, probably with lots of rocks like the ones in your jar. And so he had to get his friends to come along and help him, anyone he could find, volunteers, friends, family, and they hand cleared 900 tons of rocks from the vineyard. 900 tons by hand, so that they could plant it. So they split it all up through the different special soil types. It is super, super low intervention, but not no intervention. So if we've not covered that before, what does that mean? Intervention is seen as, the winemaker trying to bully the grapes into being something different, whether it's through sticking to brand new oak casks, filtering it super hard, putting in various different preservatives and chemicals to change it, chemical tannins, chemical colorings. There are all sorts of things you can do. So a no intervention wine is one where you've basically just stuck the grapes in and said, let's trust what's going to come out. But a low intervention, the problem with that is often they go wrong, and you end up with something you can't sell, or worse, that you shouldn't sell but you do sell.
Yeah.
I think that's the worst thing. So he and his wife now manage the entire thing. Rudy's the winemaker. Verena is for sales, marketing, export. She's an assistant in a winery, while also looking after 2 teenagers. And they do this all together in a super, super natural, low intervention way. And it's just such cool wine. It's just so cool. We were like, how many bottles of that have you got left? They were like, well, not
50.
many. 50 bottles. We're like, let's have them. Let's have all the bottles. We're putting that in. So that was Weingut Kiss, or Gish.
Gish, exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect. While we're stuck there
awesome.
along in the camera, should we move on to the quiz? Yes.
And it's gone. Okay.
Right.
Let's move on to the quiz. Probably without us. Treacle tarts, one of my favourite things. So the wine of the night appears to be the first part of the quiz.
Okay. Where are we at? What have we done? Quiz. There we go. So we are in for the quiz. Get yourself in on the quiz. There we are. The leaks are in. We're going to give everyone a minute to get in. What's going to happen first? Is everyone going to be in first, or is Alex going to get the camera fixed first? Oh, here we go.
I'm about to get shut down by the Countdown legal team, aren't I?
Dun, 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 dun. We've got 7 in, 8 in. Going to give it 10 in.
What was that?
14.
It's fully charged as well.
And there we go. I'm just going to leave everybody full page on the quiz, so we're all right. Okay, fantastic. 10 seconds.
Fantastisch.
10 seconds if you want to get in, or we're going to go 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. What is the... Oh, you're doing it, are you?
What is the most widely planted grape variety in Austria? Zweigelt, Gruner Veltliner, Blaufränkisch, or Riesling? I think we can all probably have a pretty good guess at that.
I have a feeling that I've answered every
You may well have done that. It's almost like you preempted your own quiz. Everyone's going to get full marks.
Oh, there's a bit of a blend.
It's Gruner Veltliner.
You called that early, didn't you? Everyone's going to get full marks. Steve's in the lead.
Steve in the lead. In which region of Austria is the famous Wachau Valley located? Is it Burgenland, Niederösterreich, or Styria, or Wien?
Why did you do half?
I went Steiermark, or I don't know.
He doesn't know. He doesn't
need to know such things. There's a method behind the madness.
There's
mostly madness.
There's a method as well. I'm waiting for the method.
We're method actors. Niederösterreich.
There's a bit of a blend there.
It's the correct answer.
Lower Austria.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah. What classification does Austria use to denote
quality wines? Is it IGT, DOC?
Yeah, you know me.
DAC?
Yeah, you know me.
Or AOC?
It works for all of them. That works for all of them. IGT, yeah, you know me.
I can't be the last one because she's a member of Congress or something.
Or what's up, Doc?
What's up, Doc? IGT used to be a large gambling machine manufacturer when I last checked.
But a bit of a blend again. DAC is what we're looking for.
Hey,
Liz in the lead, but there's only 4 seconds in it, or one correct answer. Steve's at high speed, 17 seconds.
What is Austria's most famous dessert wine, often made from grapes affected by noble rot? Is it Trockenbeeren Auslese?
So obviously we talked about Tokai earlier, but this is a sweetness level rather than a style.
Auslese, Spätlese, or Cabernet?
Cabernet Sauvignon. Different cabinet. So everybody's in. We've got some TBAs, we've got some Spätlese, we've got some Ausleses. So Spätlese, Auslese, and Trockenbeeren Auslese also make sweet wine, but
it's the Trockenbeeren Auslese, which literally means dried berries selected harvest or something along those lines, doesn't it? So Liz in the lead, 47. What percentage of Austria's wine production is white? 30, 50, 70, or 90? Those are very strangely precise figures.
Approximately. Yes. Someone's going to come and go.
In which year?
yeah, someone's going to go, it's 27.83% actually.
It's going to be the actually guy.
Everybody's in.
70 or 90?
It's 70 is that.
Correct. Oh, Liz hanging on to the lead
Liz
there.
Hanging out with 100%
5 out of
correct.
5. Which of these grapes is a red variety? Oh, come on.
Hey,
you could have picked at least a few. For those who didn't see, on Instagram earlier this week, I decided to give Jamie a blind tasting test where he wasn't allowed to smell or taste the grapes. He had to tell what variety was which by the colour, and I gave it to him. And
I think
you were looking so.
I don't think you should tell people the answer. You should tell them to have a look at
have a look at the Instagram reel.
Zweigelt it is. Well done,
strangely
everybody.
enough, it's the one that you've got in front of you.
There we go.
What's the main difference between Steinfeder, Federspiel, and Schmaragd wine from Wachau? Is it alcohol content, grape variety, soil type, or winemaking method?
That was very softly spoken there, sir. On question 7 out of 8.
Nearly there.
So whoever wins, pop us an email, and you can have
a little lizard. You can have Nick Cope YouTube.
No, you can send next month's tasting to a friend.
Oh yes, that's the one, isn't it? Not Nick Cope. Okay.
Oh my word! I did mention it, didn't I?
You might have done.
I might have got very overexcited about soil, but soil is not the answer. It's alcohol content.
Alcohol. It was the 14% for the Schmaragd one. So, which region in Austria is best known for producing high-quality red wines? Is it Wachau? Wine I think you mean Vienna.
Then
Burgenland or Steiermark or Styria. You had some nice Sauvignon Blancs from Steiermark, didn't you?
some really good ones. Some really good ones.
Um,
Oh yeah. And what does this do? It is Burgenland.
Very good. Bravo, bravo. Liz, 8
Liz,
out of 8.
8 out of 8.
That is quite a
Congratulations.
result. Excellent.
Pop us an email with a friend who you think might like to join us for a tasting. What else have we got going on?
Oh, it's gone
Okay, right. We're going to get this camera back on one more time.
One last time.
While he gets this camera back on for one last time, next month we will be doing wines of England, but maybe not as you know them. There's some cool things. Some people are growing some different grapes around and about. I'm poking at a few people, but until I've got a guarantee that I can get the wines, I don't want to announce that we're going to get them, but there's going to be some exciting stuff. You might have heard me yabber on, you might have seen on Instagram, I have just got back from Austria, so we are doing a special Austrian wine tasting in November. There's only about 15 more packs available. It's sold out very, very quickly. Surprisingly, people wanted to listen to me yabber on about Alsatian wines. Some really, really cool stuff going on. And last chance, we're really getting to Last Chance Saloon. If you haven't, I can't reach it. Ordered your advent calendar. They are in production. So we've kind of placed our order. We've got a few extra spare ones. So if you want one, get one. And if you love the wines, order them. We've got a few bits and pieces around. So, keep buying wine.
Shall we put the prices up, shall we?
Yeah, let's do the prices.
The prices are there.
And
all of them are actually remarkably close to each other. I think the rosé's banging at that
Indeed.
price. I absolutely
We can do that.
For that.
And now we've seen that, it doesn't really matter because they're all the same price. Do we want to go back and see if we can get wine of the night up?
Oh, yeah, let's get wine of the night.
In the slider. You'll have to do a drop down first and go back up to it. But yeah, apologies for the camera work this evening. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise that you just had to listen to us rather than look at us. It could have been a win-win situation. But what do we got? So the tastings are up for the rest of the year. So we've got England next month. We've then got France coming up. We've got the Alsatian special. And then December, we are going to be doing a summary of the year. Some cool things we've tasted, some cool places we've been, and hopefully some cool people that we like coming on to come and guest host with us in December. So that could be fun. So
I hope so.
So let's have a little look at wine of the night as people get that going.
Absolutely. It is. It's close. It's close. You've got to get your results in because this is.
We'll give it another 10 seconds and we'll see if there's any final chats while we are on.
Yeah,
cameras on.
You like them all. It was so hard. Yeah, that is actually my thing. I think they're all really, really good wines, and it just goes to show the depth of quality there is now, and really, really awesome to see. It's not like you find many countries doing Blauweiswein. Have you ever come across one from Australia or anything like that? I've not seen much from the New World. But yeah. The other thing, just to mention as well, is that there is, for the last few days of the month, there is, which is very close now, there is a discount code as well that you can type in if you want to get 10% off, because we accidentally emailed it to everybody the other day. So if you use EBBAS10, the discount code, then you can get 10% off. That is courtesy of our friends at Sorted Food. So you can use that for anything, I think, other than pre-ordering the advent calendar. If you just pay for the whole thing, you can get 10% off.
Yeah.
So, some say as well that today our costumes arrived as well, didn't they?
Yes, but no one cares about.
No, we're not going to show you that.
Costumes.
But let's just say that Phileas Fogg and his wine hunting assistant are now ready to go off around the world and to explore it. And we will be releasing very soon our journey and our list of wineries that we're going to. So keep your eyes peeled for that, for the advent calendar, because yes, 24 days in a Jules Verne style with a short video every day, minute and a half long, that introduces you to it, courtesy of our intrepid explorers.
Costumes for the
advent calendar
calendar.
videos, indeed.
Okay, so anyway, wine of the night, and then
yeah.
we should let these
Wine
lovely
of the night?
people get away from us.
I think it's coming out. Yep, it is. It is a
Wine number 6.
Wine number 6 by a very small margin over the ferment. The ferment.
What I'm going to say is I'm going to go all the way down
Everything's
here
close there.
because it is all that close that it doesn't really matter. But the least picked wine for the night was the Gruner Veltliner, the Austrian classic. So it showcases that open your eyes up to other wines from a region and a country, and you might be surprised.
Very pleasantly surprised indeed.
But anyway, thank you for dealing with our camera work tonight, and we will see you all very, very soon. Cheers.
Good Abend.